My name is Chioma, and yes, I was part of the betrayal bet. I wish I could tell you I was innocent. That I never agreed to something so cruel. But the truth is uglier than that. It started weeks ago in the cafeteria. Richard, my ex and the king of Crestwood High, was holding court at our table, surrounded by his loyal friends. I was there too, sipping on my smoothie, pretending not to care about his new conquest draped on his arm. Titi, my so-called best friend, leaned in with that mischievous smile of hers. Chioma, let's play a game. I dare you to make Ifosa fall for you. Ifosa, the quiet scholarship kid. The one with perfect grades, a flawless jump shot, and a reputation for being untouchable. He was handsome in a way that didn't need effort. His clothes were always neat, his shoes spotless, his posture tall and proud. He wasn't like the spoiled Crestwood kids who lived off their parents' money. He was different. At first, I laughed it off. You're crazy, Titi. He doesn't even notice me. But Richard leaned forward, smirking in that arrogant way he knew made people listen. Exactly. He thinks he's above us. But he's just another kid with no money. Show him who really runs this school, Chioma. Make him fall for you, and then break him. The table erupted in laughter. And before I could think twice, my pride answered for me. Fine. Watch me. That was the beginning of the biggest mistake of my life. At first, it was just a game. I sat next to him in class. I asked him to help me with assignments I didn't even care about. I laughed at his quiet jokes, the ones only I seemed to hear. But then something changed. I started looking forward to seeing him. I started noticing the way his forehead wrinkled when he was deep in thought. The way he pushed his glasses up when he was nervous. The way he always carried extra pens because someone might forget theirs. He wasn't just smart. He was kind. Real. Different. The night he walked me home after study group, I realized I wasn't pretending anymore. The way he looked at me when he said goodnight, it wasn't part of any game. It was real. And my heart knew it before my head did. But by then, it was too late. The group chat kept buzzing. Screenshots of our conversations were passed around like trophies. Zeno's blog teased updates about Crestwood's hottest secret. I wanted to shut it all down, confess everything, tell Ifosa the truth before he found out on his own. But fear kept me quiet. Fear of losing him. Fear of being exposed. And now, standing in that gym with his bracelet in my hand and his voice still echoing in my ears, I knew the fear I had tried to avoid had already come true. He knew. The whole school knew. And the worst part, I didn't even know who betrayed me. Someone leaked the bet. Someone exposed me. And whoever it was, they weren't finished yet. Because just as I turned to leave the gym, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A new post from Zeno's blog. Breaking, the betrayal bet, exclusive receipts. Chioma's double life exposed. I clicked. And my blood turned cold. There were screenshots, private messages I had never shown anyone. Conversations only I had with Ifosa. Pictures of us together that no one else could have taken. Someone was watching us. Someone wanted me destroyed. And I knew exactly who it might be. I looked up, scanning the crowd, and my eyes landed on Richard. He was smacking. Like the game had only just begun. When I got home that night, I locked my bedroom door, curled up on my bed, and stared at the bracelet in my hand. My stomach twisted like I had swallowed fire. Ifosa's face, his eyes, his voice, the way he had looked at me like I was nothing but a liar, kept replaying in my head. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt closed. The only thing I could hear was his question echoing again and again. Was I just a bet? And the truth? The truth was, yes, it started as one. Let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Chioma. I'm 17, a senior at Crestwood High, and everyone knows my name. They know me for the way I walk into class like it's a runway, for the latest hairstyles I show off every Monday, for the fact that I never repeat an outfit. My life looks perfect from the outside. People whisper a queen when I pass, and I pretend not to hear, but I do. But the part no one sees. I'm terrified of being just a rich girl. The daughter of money, not someone with her own worth. I laugh too loudly sometimes, I talk too much when I feel small, and I hate silence because it makes me think about who I really am without the sparkle. That fear is what made me say yes to the stupidest day of my life. It happened one sunny afternoon in the cafeteria. Richard, my ex, sat across from me, leaning back in his chair like he owned the world. He was the golden boy, captain of the basketball team, son of a senator, the type who never heard the word no in his life. And I used to love him once. Or maybe I just loved the idea of him. That day, he had a smirk on his face, like he had been planning something all morning. You all seen the new guy? He asked, tossing a grape into his mouth. Scholarship kid. Walks around here like he belongs. I rolled my eyes. Maybe because he does belong. Richard scoffed. Please. Crestwood isn't charity. He's just passing through. Who cares? I said, sipping my iced latte. But I had seen the boy. Ifosa. The one with skin so smooth it caught the sunlight, tall and quiet, always carrying his books like they were part of him. He wasn't flashy like the other guys, but something about him made people look twice. Titi leaned in, bracelets jangling. I dare you, she said, her eyes dancing. Make him fall for you. Let's see if Mr. Perfect can handle Queen Chioma. The whole table laughed. My pride bristled. Richard's smirk grew. You can't do it, he said flatly, his eyes glinting. Guys like him don't fall for girls like you. He'll see right through you. And that's when my mouth betrayed me. Watch me. That's how the bet was born. The next day, I made my move. I slid into the seat next to him in history class. He looked up, surprised, then nodded politely. Hi, I said, giving my best effortless smile. You're Ifosa, right? Yes. His voice was deep but calm, with a slight smile tucked at the corner of his lips. And you're Chioma. I tilted my head. You already know my name. Everyone does, he said simply, and went back to his notes. That was not the reaction I was used to. Usually, guys stumbled over themselves to impress me. Ifosa didn't. That only made me more curious. So I tried again. You're new here. If you ever need help finding classes, meeting people, I can show you around. He paused, glanced at me, and for a moment I thought I saw the faintest flicker of amusement in his eyes. I think I'll be okay, he said, then went back to writing. I sat there stunned. Did he just dismiss me? Me, Chioma. That night, I told Titi, and she laughed so hard she nearly choked. Oh my God, he carved you. This is going to be fun. Richard smirked when he heard. Told you. He's not falling for you. And just like that, it wasn't just a bet anymore. It was personal. Over the next few weeks, I worked harder. I joined study groups. I accidentally bumped into him at his locker. I offered him snacks at lunch. Slowly, I saw his world start to shift. He wasn't easy, but he was real. One day after class, he stayed back to pack his books, and I asked, "Why are you always so quiet?" He looked up at me, thoughtful. Because I'd rather be remembered for what I do than for what I say. That answer, it stuck with me. And that was when the shift happened. It stopped being about the bet. It stopped being about Richard or Titi or anyone else. It started being about the way my heart beat faster when Efosa looked at me. The way he listened when I spoke, like my words mattered. The way I could sit in silence next to him and not feel the need to feel it. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like just a rich girl. I felt like me. But behind my happiness, the storm was brewing. I didn't know it then, but someone was already collecting receipts. Screenshots of messages. Pictures of us in the library. Proof that I wasn't who Efosa thought I was. And the person pulling the strings, they weren't finished yet. Because a week before everything exploded in the gym, I got a message from an unknown number. Queens can't love pawns. Remember the rules of the game. I froze. My fingers trembled as I showed it to Titi. She only smirked. Relax, she said. It's just Richard messing with you. But the pit in my stomach told me otherwise. The night of the pep rally, I promised myself I would tell Efosa everything. I was done with the game. Done with the lies. But I was too late. Because by the time he stood there under those blinding gym lights, microphone in hand, asking me that question, was I just a bet? The truth had already been unleashed. Not by me. By someone who wanted to see us both fall. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, my phone buzzed again. A new post from Zeno's gossip blog. Breaking, the betrayal bet, Chioma's confession leaked. I clicked it. And there, word for word, was a message I had never written. Yes, it started as a bet. But I fooled him. Efosa is nothing more than a joke to me. I gasped so loud people around me turned to stare. It was my name on the account. My profile picture. My words. But I hadn't written them. Someone had set me up. And Efosa, he believed it. He walked away before I could even explain. That's how I lost him. And that's how the real game began. Because whoever was behind this didn't just want to expose me. They wanted to destroy me. The next morning, Crestwood High felt like a battlefield. I could feel the stairs the moment I stepped through the school gates. Whispers followed me like shadows. Girls huddled in corners, covering their mouths as they giggled behind their phones. Guys nudged each other and smirked when I walked past. Zeno's blog had done its damage. My name was everywhere. The headline banned across every student's screen. Chioma played him. Crestwood's queen exposed. And right beneath it, the forged confession that made me look like the worst person alive. Yes, it started as a bet. But I fooled him. Efosa is nothing more than a joke to me. Every word was a lie, but no one cared. When I walked into first period, the room went silent. Everyone's eyes darted between me and Efosa, who was already seated at his desk by the window, head bent over his notebook. Normally, he'd look up when I came in. He'd give me that small nod, that soft smile that made me feel like I wasn't alone in the world. But this time, he didn't even glance at me. I slid into the seat beside him anyway. My heart pounded. My palms were slick. Efosa, I whispered, leaning closer. Please, you have to believe me. I didn't write that. Someone's framing me. He didn't move. Didn't blink. He just kept writing, his pen scratching the page like I wasn't there. Efosa, I tried again, my voice breaking. It wasn't a game anymore. He finally stopped. Slowly, he turned his head and looked at me. His eyes were colder than I'd ever seen them. You should sit somewhere else, he said quietly. The words cut deeper than any scream could have. My breath caught in my throat. I gathered my books, stood up, and walked away. The whispers followed me across the room. Queen Chioma dethroned. Guess rich girls get bored easily. Poor guy never saw it coming. I wanted to scream. I wanted to point at Richard, at Titi, at Zeno, and shouted them. They set me up, but I had no proof. And the truth is, I had played a part. I had said yes to the bet. I had started this mess. Now, Efosa was paying the price. By lunchtime, the whole school was buzzing. Zeno had posted a second update. Efosa's scholarship at risk after betrayal bet scandal. My stomach dropped. If the gossip reached the scholarship board, Efosa could lose everything. His future, his dream, his mother's sacrifices, it could all vanish because of me. I found him outside by the basketball court, sitting alone on the bleachers. His bag was at his feet, and he was staring straight ahead like the world had gone quiet. I sat down 2 steps below him, careful not to get too close. Efosa, I said softly. Please, let me explain. I swear I never meant to hurt you. I didn't even know Zeno had those screenshots. Someone's framing me, someone wants to ruin us. His jaw tightened. He finally looked at me, and the hurt in his eyes nearly broke me in half. You should have told me from the start, he said. If you had, maybe I could have believed you. But now. He shook his head. Now I don't know what's real and what's not. Tears blurred my vision. I was scared. Scared you'd hate me. Scared of losing you. You lost me anyway, he said, standing up. Congratulations. The bet's over. And then he walked away, leaving me on the cold bleachers, my heart shattering into pieces. That night, I lay in bed scrolling through my phone, searching for answers. Every comment on Zeno's blog was another stab. Chioma finally got exposed. Feel bad for Efosa. She was never serious about him. And then, right at the top of the page, I saw a new post. A grainy photo of me and Efosa in the library, sitting close, his hand almost brushing mine. The caption read, "Look at her playing him like a violin. Queen of betrayal." My hands shook. Someone was following us. Watching us. This wasn't just Zeno gossiping, it was a setup. But who? Richard. He had the motive. He hated Efosa for being everything he wasn't, humble, brilliant, respected. And he hated me for leaving him. Titi. She had been the one to start the bet in the first place. Maybe she wanted drama. Maybe she wanted me humiliated. Or was it someone else entirely? Someone I hadn't even suspected yet. The next morning, things got worse. As I walked into school, Mr. Ode, our physics teacher, stopped me in the hallway. His expression was serious. "Chioma," he said gently, "you need to be careful. There are people who would love to see Efosa fail. This scandal, it's dangerous for him. And for you." I swallowed hard. "Do you believe me, sir? That I didn't mean for it to go this far." Mr. Ade looked at me for a long moment. "What I believe doesn't matter. What matters is what Efosa believes. And right now, he doesn't." His words cut like knives. And then he added, almost in a whisper, "But if you want to make this right, you'd better find out who's behind all this. Before it's too late." I nodded, my heart pounding. Because in that moment, I knew one thing for sure, someone was pulling strings in the shadows. And if I didn't uncover the truth soon, Efosa would lose everything, his scholarship, his future, his trust. And maybe I would lose him forever. That afternoon, as I walked past the lockers, I found a folded note slipped into mine. No name. No signature. Just one line. "If you really care about him, meet me behind the gym at midnight. Alone." My heart dropped. Was it a trap? Or the only chance to clear my name? I held the note in my shaking hands and whispered to myself, "This is how it begins." I barely slept that night. The note kept replaying in my head. If you really care about him, meet me behind the gym at midnight. Alone. It felt like something out of a movie, mysterious, dramatic, dangerous. But this wasn't a movie. This was my life, and Ifosa's future was hanging in the balance. If there was even a chance someone knew the truth about who set me up, I had to go. When the clock struck 11:45 p.m., I slipped on a hoodie, pulled the hood low over my face, and sneaked out of the house. The streets were quiet, the air heavy with that strange stillness that only comes after midnight. My sneakers crunched on gravel as I walked toward the school. By the time I reached the gym, my heart was pounding. The back lot was dark, lit only by a flickering streetlight. I clutched my phone in one hand, ready to dial for help if I had to. "Hello?" I whispered into the shadows. "Who's here?" For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, footsteps. A figure stepped out from behind the dumpster, phone lights flashing across their face. My stomach dropped. It was Zino. "Relax," he said quickly, raising his hands like I might attack him. "I'm not here to hurt you." "Then what are you doing?" I snapped, my voice trembling. "You've been destroying me all week with your stupid blog post. You ruined me. You ruined Ifosa." He sighed, sliding his phone into his pocket. "Chioma, listen. It wasn't me." "Not really." "I mean, yes, I posted it. But the stuff didn't come from me." My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" "Someone's been feeding me the content. Screenshots. Messages. Pictures of you and Ifosa. Everything." "Who?" I demanded. Zino hesitated, glancing around nervously like the shadows themselves were listening. "I don't know. They use a burner account. No name, no face. They just send me the content, and I post it." I stared at him, furious. "So you've just been their puppet?" He looked ashamed for a split second before shrugging. "Drama pays, Chioma. My blog's never been this popular. People love scandals. And honestly, you made it too easy. You walked right into the bet." The words stung, but deep down, I knew he wasn't wrong. Still, something didn't add up. "Why call me here, then? Why tell me this now?" Zino pulled out his phone again and showed me a message thread. The latest one sent just 2 hours ago. "Next drop goes live tomorrow. It's bigger. Scholarship board won't just suspend Ifosa this time, they'll cancel him." I felt my knees go weak. "No." "Yes," Zino said grimly. "If this goes out, it's finished. And I think whoever's behind it wants that to happen. Badly." My mind raced. Who hated Ifosa enough to destroy his life? Richard? Titi? Someone else? Before I could ask more, a loud clang echoed from the far side of the lot. We both spun around. "Who's there?" I shouted. Nothing. Just the sound of the wind pushing against the chain-link fence. When I turned back, Zino was gone. Vanished into the shadows like he'd never been there at all. The next morning at school, the whispers were louder than ever. But this time, they weren't just about me. They were about Ifosa. Rumors swirled that his scholarship was already revoked. That the foundation was investigating him for inappropriate conduct. That he was being called to the office that very afternoon. I rushed to find him. He was at his locker, packing his books into his bag, his face unreadable. "Ifosa," I begged, grabbing his arm. "Please, just listen. I met Zino last night." He pulled his arm away like my touch burned him. "Stay out of it, Chioma." "But it's not you they're after," I cried. "It's both of us. Someone's setting us up. They're feeding Zino everything." For the first time in days, something flickered in his eyes, doubt, confusion, maybe even a spark of hope. But it was gone in an instant. Even if that's true, he said quietly, the damage is done. My name's ruined. And I trusted you to protect me from this, Chioma. Instead, you started it. I felt my throat close. Before I could answer, Mr. Ade walked up, his face tight. Ifosa, the principal wants to see you now. Bring your bag. Ifosa nodded and walked away without another word. I stood frozen in the hallway, surrounded by whispers, when my phone buzzed again. Another message. From the same unknown number. Check the library. Top shelf, aisle 3. You'll find proof. My heart skipped. Proof. I didn't hesitate. I ran to the library, ignoring the stares, ignoring the whispers. When I reached aisle 3, I scanned the shelves. My hands shook as I pulled down a dusty box file wedged in the corner. Inside were printed photos, dozens of them. Me and Ifosa in the cafeteria. Me laughing at his jokes. Him handing me his notes. Every private moment, captured like we were living under a microscope. And at the bottom of the stack, a single photo made my blood run cold. It wasn't of me and Ifosa. It was of Richard. Sitting in his car. Smiling. Holding the same banner phone that had been sending Zeno all those leaks. I dropped the photo, my hands trembling. So it was Richard all along. He was the one feeding Zeno. He was the one framing me. He was the one trying to destroy Ifosa's scholarship. But why? And before I could even think of what to do next, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This time, no instructions. Just 5 words that made my blood turn to ice. Tell anyone, and he's done. By lunchtime, Crestwood felt like it was on fire. Everyone was buzzing about the same thing, Ifosa's scholarship hearing. Rumor had it the board had called an emergency session in the principal's office to review the evidence against him. If they believed the forged messages, he would lose everything, the scholarship, his place at Crestwood, maybe even his future. And it would all be my fault. I sat at my table in the cafeteria, untouched food on my tray, my hands shaking under the table. Titi slid into the seat beside me, her nails tapping against her phone. You look like you've seen a ghost, she said casually, sipping her soda. I swallowed hard. Did you know? Her eyes narrowed. Know what? That Richard's the one behind all this. For the first time, Titi's smirk faltered. What are you talking about? I found proof, I whispered fiercely. Photos. Screenshots. He's been sending everything to Zeno. He framed me, Titi. He's trying to destroy Ifosa. Titi looked away, her jaw tightening. My chest tightened. You knew. She didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed her bag and stood up. Be careful, Chioma, she muttered, before walking away. I sat there frozen, my heart pounding. Titi had been my best friend since freshman year. If she had been helping Richard this whole time, then I wasn't just fighting against one person. I was fighting against both of them. By the time the lunch bell rang, word had spread, the scholarship board was meeting in the principal's office right after school. Students crowded the hallway, whispering, phones out, waiting for updates like it was a trial. I couldn't stay away. When the final bell rang, I rushed to the office wing, my stomach in knots. Through the glass window of the conference room, I could see Ifosa sitting stiffly at the table, his hands clasped in front of him. On the other side sat 3 board members, stern-faced and serious. The principal hovered nearby, and Mr. Ade stood in the corner, arms crossed. And then the door opened, and Richard walked in. My breath caught. He wasn't supposed to be there. He had no reason to be there. But he strode in like he owned the room, a smug smile plastered on his face. The principal cleared his throat. Mr. Richard, this is highly irregular. I have evidence, Richard interrupted smoothly. Evidence that proves Ifosa has been conducting himself dishonorably. I thought the board would want to see it. The room erupted in murmurs. My knees nearly gave out. He was going to use the fake screenshots. He was going to destroy Ifosa right there in front of everyone. I didn't think. I just acted. I pushed through the crowd of students and burst into the room before anyone could stop me. This is a setup, I shouted, my voice shaking but loud enough to make everyone freeze. All eyes turned to me. The board members frowned. The principal looked horrified. Ifosa's head snapped up, his eyes burning with hurt and confusion. Richard smirked. Here comes the star of the show. I marched to the center of the room, clutching the stack of photos I had pulled from the library box. My hands trembled as I slammed them on the table. Richard is behind this. He's the one sending Zeno all the so-called evidence. He's the one framing Ifosa. Look at this. I shoved the photo forward, the one of Richard in his car, holding the burner phone. The room went silent. The board members leaned in, studying the picture. The principal adjusted his glasses. Richard laughed, shaking his head. Seriously, Chioma? That could be anything. A fake. A setup. How desperate can you get? I turned to Ifosa, my throat tight. It's true. I swear it's true. I never meant for any of this to happen. I didn't write those messages. I didn't leak those photos. It's all him. Ifosa's eyes locked on mine. For a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of doubt in his anger. But then he looked away. One of the board members cleared her throat. Miss Chioma, your claim is serious, but without corroborating proof, this is just your word against his. I froze. My proof wasn't enough. The photo could be dismissed. Richard had played this game too well. Richard leaned back in his chair, grinning. See? Even your queen admits she started it all. The bet was her idea. The room gasped. My chest burned. That's not true. I cried. It was Titi's idea. Richard pushed me into it. I didn't. But before I could finish, Ifosa stood abruptly, his chair screeching against the floor. Enough, he said quietly, but his voice carried through the room. I don't care who started what. I just want the truth. His eyes turned to me. So tell me, Chioma. Right here, in front of everyone. Did you agree to the bet? My stomach dropped. The entire room leaned forward, waiting for my answer. This was it. The moment I couldn't run from. My throat tightened. My hands shook. And then, with tears burning in my eyes, I whispered the word that shattered everything. Yes. The room exploded. Gasps. Whispers. Phones buzzing as text flew. Ifosa's face went still. He didn't shout. He didn't move. He just looked at me with a kind of quiet devastation that hurt worse than anger. Then it's true, he said softly. And with that, he turned and walked out of the room, leaving me standing there, broken, as Richard's mock smile widened. I stumbled out into the hallway, the crowd parting around me. Whispers followed like knives. She admitted it. Poor Ifosa. Guess she really was just a rich girl playing games. I pressed my back against the lockers, fighting to breathe. And then my phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. He believes it now. Just like we planned. My blood froze. It wasn't just Richard. There was someone else. Someone still pulling the strings. I couldn't breathe. My back was pressed against the lockers, my phone clutched in my sweaty hand, my heart pounding so hard I thought the whole hallway could hear it. The message glared back at me. He believes it now. Just like we planned. Planned. That word sliced deeper than any insult I'd heard in the last 2 weeks. This wasn't just Richard being petty. This wasn't just Zeno chasing gossip. Someone was orchestrating the whole thing. Someone wanted to destroy Ifosa and me. The crowd thinned after the scholarship hearing, but I stayed frozen there until Mr. Ode found me. Chioma, he said quietly, stepping closer. You need to get a hold of yourself. I shook my head, tears threatening to spill. It wasn't me. It was never supposed to go this far. Mr. Ode, someone's setting me up. His eyes softened. I believe you. But that won't matter unless you prove it. Ifosa is hanging by a thread. I nodded, wiping my face. I think it's Richard. No, Mr. Ade interrupted gently. Richard's involved, yes, but he's not smart enough to pull this off alone. Whoever's doing this knows how to manipulate, how to plant evidence, how to turn people against each other. That's bigger than Richard's ego. My stomach churned. If not Richard, then who? The answer came faster than I expected. That evening, I sat on my bed, scrolling through Zeno's blog again, reading every post, every headline, every leaked screenshot. Then I saw it, something so small I nearly missed it. One of the leaked photos of me and Ifosa in the library had a reflection in the glass window behind us. It was faint, blurry, but I knew that face. Titi, my best friend. She'd been there that day, pretending to leave early. But in the photo, you could see her, phone raised, snapping the shot. I dropped my phone like it was on fire. My chest tightened until I could barely breathe. It had been her all along. Titi. The girl who dared me into the bet. The girl who laughed when Ifosa carved me. The girl who sat beside me while I cried, and smiled when no one else was watching. My hands trembled as I picked up my phone again. Another text buzzed through just then. Stop digging, Chioma. Or Ifosa won't be the only one who loses. No name. No signature. But now, I didn't need one. I knew. It was Titi. The next day at school, I tried to act normal, but my mind was spinning. I watched Titi across the cafeteria, laughing with Richard like nothing had happened. She flipped her braids over her shoulder, leaned in close, whispered something that made him smirk. It all clicked. Richard was the face. Titi was the brain. Together, they were pulling the strings. But why? I got my answer later that afternoon. I was leaving class when Titi cornered me in the hallway, her smile sharp as a knife. You look tired, she said sweetly. Not sleeping well. I swallowed, forcing my voice to stay calm. Why are you doing this, Titi? Her eyes gleamed. Because you had everything. The clothes. The looks. The attention. Even Richard, once upon a time. But then you had to go and take the one thing none of us could touch. Ifosa. I whispered. Her smile widened. The boy who doesn't care about money. The boy who doesn't play games. The boy who only had eyes for you. Do you know how sickening that was? To watch him fall for you like you were worth something more than your daddy's bank account. Her words hit like slaps. You planned this, I breathed. Of course I did, she said, shrugging like it was nothing. Richard wanted revenge, I wanted you humbled. So we gave the school a show. And the best part? He believes it. Ifosa will never forgive you. I shook my head, my voice breaking. You're wrong. I'll prove it. I'll expose you. Her eyes darkened. Try it. Just try. I have enough receipts to bury you both. And if you think losing Ifosa hurts now, she leaned in close, her whisper hot against my ear. Wait until he's expelled. Wait until his mother finds out it was all because of you. My blood ran cold. She wasn't bluffing. That night, I couldn't sit still. I paced my room, biting my nails until they bled. Ifosa wouldn't talk to me. The scholarship board wouldn't believe me. And now I knew the truth, my best friend was my worst enemy. But I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. I opened my phone and began scrolling through every photo, every screenshot, every chat I'd ever had with Titi. Somewhere in there, I knew, was the crack in her armor. The mistake she had made. The proof I needed. And after hours of scrolling, I found it. A photo she had sent me weeks ago. Just a silly selfie in her room. But in the corner of the photo, sitting on her desk, was the same burner phone Richard had been holding in the car. My heart skipped. I zoomed in. The case was bright red, with a crack in the corner. The same one from the photo I'd found in the library. Titi had been careless. And now, I had proof. But before I could save the image, my phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. Delete what you found. Last warning. I froze. They knew. They were watching me. And if they knew I had proof, then the next move was mine. Because either I exposed them first, or they destroyed me completely. By the time Friday rolled around, Crestwood felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Everyone was talking about Ifosa's scholarship review, about me, about the so-called confession. I could barely walk through the halls without hearing whispers. She admitted it was a bet. Ifosa's finished. Rich girls play dirty. Each word was another knife in my back. But what kept me going was the photo on my phone, the one of Titi's burner sitting on her desk. Proof. Solid proof that my best friend had been the mastermind behind everything. I just didn't know how to use it without her striking back. The answer came during Friday's school assembly. The gym was packed. Students filled the bleachers, buzzing with gossip. Teachers tried to maintain order, but even they couldn't quiet the storm. Everyone knew the scholarship board was in attendance. Everyone knew Ifosa's future was hanging by a thread. I sat 2 rows from the front, my palms sweating, heart racing. Ifosa was on the other side of the gym, sitting stiff and quiet, his jaw tight. He didn't look at me. He hadn't looked at me in days. Then Richard walked in with his cocky stride, smirk plastered across his face. And beside him, Titi. Her braid swung as she leaned close to him, whispering something that made him laugh. She looked like she owned the room. Like she had already won. My stomach twisted. This was it. I couldn't keep quiet any longer. When the principal stepped up to the microphone to open the assembly, I stood up. My voice cracked, but it carried across the gym. I have something to say. The entire room went silent. Dozens of phones shot up instantly, recording. Zeno was already grinning, his camera zoomed in. The principal frowned. Chioma, this is not the time. It's the only time, I said, my voice louder now. Because Ifosa's name is being destroyed, and it's my fault. But not in the way you all think. Gasps rippled across the gym. Richard leaned back, smacking. Titi crossed her arms, her eyes sharp and cold. Yes, I said, my voice shaking, I agreed to the bet. I was stupid, shallow, and insecure. I wanted to prove something that didn't matter. And Ifosa, my voice broke, he got caught in the middle of it. But what you don't know is that everything since then, the leaks, the fake confessions, the messages, they want me. They want even Richard. The crowd murmured. I held up my phone. They were her. Every head turned toward Titi. For a second, she didn't move. Then she laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. Really, Chioma? That's your big defense. Blame your best friend. I took a step forward, my hands trembling. You sent the screenshots. You took the photos. And you handed everything to Zeno. She rolled her eyes. Prove it. My chest tightened. I can. That burner phone. The red one with the cracked corner. It's yours. I have a photo of it sitting on your desk, in your room. Do you want me to show everyone? The gym erupted in noise. Gasps, shouts, the sound of phones snapping photos. For the first time, Titi's smirk faltered. She glanced at Richard, who suddenly looked less sure of himself. But then she recovered, flipping her braids over her shoulder. Even if it was mine, who's going to believe you now? You admitted it was a bet. You ruined him. Not me. I opened my mouth to answer, but before I could, Ifosa stood up. The entire gym went silent again. He walked to the front, his tall frame cutting through the noise. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned. I don't care about the bet anymore, he said, his voice echoing off the walls. I care about the truth. And if Chioma has proof, then I want to see it. The scholarship board members leaned forward. Teachers exchanged nervous looks. I held up my phone, showing the blown-up image of Titi's photo with the burner in the corner. This is hers. The same phone used to leak everything. Check it if you don't believe me. The gym buzzed with energy. Titi's face hardened. You think one blurry photo will save you? Please. You're pathetic. But before she could say more, a voice rang out from the bleachers. Actually, she's right. All eyes swung to Zeno, who stood up slowly, his phone in hand. I didn't want to get dragged into this, he said, his usual smirk gone. But the truth is, every single leak came from that burner. And the person using it wasn't Richard. It was Titi. The gym exploded. Titi's face went pale. She shot Zeno a look that could kill, but it was too late. The damage was done. Gasps echoed across the bleachers. Some kids shouted. Others just stared. The principal turned, his voice booming. Miss Titi, is this true? Her lips parted, but no words came out. Richard shifted uncomfortably beside her, finally realizing he'd been nothing more than her pawn. And me. I just stood there, shaking, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. But then, through all the chaos, I looked at Ifosa. And for the first time since the night of the pep rally, his eyes met mine. There was hurt there. Anger. But also something else. Something that felt like hope. Just when I thought it was over, my phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. This time, it wasn't a threat. It was a video. And when I pressed play, my stomach dropped. It was Titi. Sitting in Richard's car. Laughing. Holding the burner phone. Saying the words that made my blood run cold. By the time we're done, Chioma will lose her crown, and Ifosa will lose his future. I gasped. My hand shook as the video played out loud across the gym. The entire school erupted into chaos. And Titi's scream, raw and furious, cut through the noise. Who sent that video? The gym was chaos. Students were shouting, some standing on the bleachers, phones raised high to capture every second. Teachers tried and failed to calm the storm. The scholarship board members huddled together in heated whispers. And right in the middle of it, Titi snapped. Her voice cracked like a whip. Who sent that video? Her braid swung as she spun around, scanning the crowd with wild eyes. Richard stood stiff beside her, jaw clenched, his cocky smile long gone. Shut it off, she screamed, lunging toward me, but Ifosa stepped in front of me before she could reach. Enough, he said, his voice low but steady. You've done enough. For a moment, no one breathed. Then the principal cleared his throat, his voice booming through the microphone. Everyone, sit down. This matter has gone far enough. Miss Titi, you will accompany me to the office immediately. Mr. Richard, you too. And as for the rest of you, phones away, or they'll be confiscated. Reluctantly, the crowd settled, but the whispers never stopped. After the assembly, the school was buzzing like a hive. Everywhere I went, people whispered about Titi, about Richard, about me, but most of all, about Ifosa. Rumors spread faster than fire. The scholarship board has seen the video. They know he's innocent. He might be saved. Still, the damage lingered. Ifosa walked the halls with his shoulders stiff, his eyes shadowed. People looked at him with pity now, not respect. And every time I tried to approach him, he shut me out. That evening, my phone lit up again. A new anonymous message. You think it's over? It's not. You exposed Titi, but you forgot something. She wasn't walking alone. My blood ran cold. Not walking alone. With who? I whispered to myself. Then another message came through. Check your locker tomorrow. Top shelf. You'll see the real truth. The next morning, I got to school early. My hands shook as I twisted the combination and opened my locker. At first, it looked empty. Then I spotted a small brown envelope tucked into the corner. I pulled it out, my heart pounding, and tore it open. Inside were printed photos. But this time, they weren't of me and Ifosa. They were of Richard and Titi, together. Meeting behind the gym. Sitting in his car. Passing the red banner phone back and forth like it was their personal toy. My chest tightened. This wasn't just proof. This was a full confession in pictures. At the bottom of the stack was a handwritten note. Expose them, and you'll save him. But be ready, the truth will cost you too. At lunch, I found Ifosa sitting alone under the oak tree by the basketball court. He was staring at the ground, earbuds in, as if he could block the world out. Ifosa, I said softly, sliding onto the bench beside him. He didn't look at me. What do you want, Chioma? I swallowed hard. I know I don't deserve another chance. I lied to you, I hate you, and I regret that for the rest of my life. But I found proof, real proof, that Titi and Richard set us both up. Look. I handed him the photos. For the first time, he looked at me. Really looked at me. He studied the photos, his eyes narrowing, his jaw tightening. Finally, he spoke. If this is real, then they'll go down for this. Both of them. Hope flickered in my chest. It's real. I swear it. But then his eyes hardened again. Even if it is, that doesn't erase the fact that you agreed to the bet. You chose to play with me, Chioma. Tears blurred my vision. I know. And if I could take it back, I would. But please, don't let them win. Don't let them destroy you. For a long moment, he was silent. Then he stood, tucking the photos into his bag. I'll take this to the board myself, he said. But don't think this means we're okay. Trust, that takes time. And right now, I don't have it. My heart broke all over again. But at least he had taken the proof. At least I had done something right. That afternoon, chaos erupted once more. The scholarship board met again, this time with the photos spread across the table. The principal's voice was stern as he called Titi and Richard into the office. The crowd gathered outside the door was so thick you could barely move. Everyone wanted to know what would happen. And then the shouting started. Titi's voice, sharp and furious, "You promised me she'd go down, Richard." Richard's raw, angry and desperate, "You're the one who slipped up. You let yourself get caught." The office door burst open, and both of them spilled out, still screaming at each other. Teachers rushed to hold them back as the board members followed, their faces grim. And just like that, the truth was out. Everyone heard. Everyone knew. Titi and Richard weren't just guilty, they were guilty together. That night, I thought maybe, just maybe, the nightmare was over. But just before midnight, my phone buzzed again. A new message. This time, no threats. Just one sentence. You still don't know who gave you the envelope. I froze, my skin prickling. Because whoever had slipped those photos into my locker wasn't done yet. Sleep became impossible. I lay awake all night, staring at the ceiling, replaying the message over and over. You still don't know who gave you the envelope. It haunted me. Because it was true. Someone had slipped those photos into my locker. Someone had saved me, an Ifosa, when I had no way out. But why? And who? The next morning, Crestwood was buzzing louder than I'd ever seen it. News spread fast. Titi and Richard were suspended pending investigation. Zeno's blog had posted a new headline. Queen falls, king crumbles, but who's pulling the strings? For once, I wasn't the target. People were whispering about Titi's betrayal, about Richard's arrogance, about how I had exposed them in front of the whole school. But even as the spotlight shifted, my stomach churned. Someone had orchestrated this. Someone had fed me those photos at just the right time. And if they were powerful enough to take down Titi and Richard, they were powerful enough to destroy me too. During third period, I slipped into the library, the only place where I could think. The air smelled like old books and dust. The quiet was heavy. I sat down in the back corner, my phone in my hand, and typed out a reply to the unknown number. Who are you? Why are you helping me? For a long time, nothing. Then, finally, 3 dots appeared. And a message. Meet me at the old music room after last bell. Don't tell anyone. If you want answers, you come. My hands shook. The old music room had been locked for years, ever since the roof leak. No one went there anymore. My first instinct was fear. But curiosity won. I had to know. When the last bell rang, I slipped down the empty hallway, my footsteps echoing against the tiled floor. The old music room door was half open, creaking slightly. I pushed it wider, my breath catching. And there, leaning against the piano, arms crossed, was Zeno. You. I whispered, my voice full of shock and anger. It was you all along. He smirked. Relax. I'm not your enemy. I shook my head. You've been ruining me since the beginning. Posting lies, leaks, humiliating me in front of everyone. And keeping you alive, he cut in sharply. Think about it, Chioma. If I hadn't posted those leaks, Titi and Richard would still have you dancing like a puppet. You'd still be trapped in their game. My chest tightened. Why? Why help me at all? He stepped closer, his expression serious for once. Because I hate them more than I hate you. I blinked. What? Titi and Richard think they run Crestwood. They think people like Ifosa don't belong here. They think people like me, people without money, without power, don't matter. So I used my blog. I exposed them, piece by piece. And when I saw they were using you as their weapon, I decided to flip the game. My knees felt weak. So, all this time, you were watching me. He shrugged. Watching all of you. You were just the perfect angle. Pretty Chioma, Queen of Crestwood, turned into the victim. People eat that up. And in the process, I take down the real villains. I swallowed hard. You don't care about me. Or Ifosa. You just care about your blog. He smacked again. Let's just say it's mutually beneficial. Before I could reply, my phone buzzed. Another message, but not from Zeno this time. From Ifosa. Meet me after practice. We need to talk. My breath caught. He hadn't texted me in days. Maybe this was it. Maybe he was finally ready to listen. Zeno glanced at my phone and smirked. Good. Go. But remember, Ifosa doesn't know everything yet. If you want him back, you'd better tell him the whole truth before someone else does. I stared at him, my stomach twisting. And if I don't? His smirk widened. Then I will. That evening, I stood by the basketball court as the last players filtered out. Ifosa walked toward me, sweat on his forehead, his bag slung over his shoulder. He stopped a few feet away, his eyes guarded but softer than before. You said you had proof, he said quietly. And you gave it to me. I took it to the board. They are reviewing everything now. He shook his head. I don't know what to do with us. My heart clenched. Ifosa, I never meant for this to happen. Yes, I agreed to the bet, and I'll hate myself forever for that. But everything after, it was real. You were real. Please believe that. His eyes searched mine, and for a moment, I thought he would. But then his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and his face hardened. What's that? I asked, my voice trembling. He turned the screen toward me. It was a message. From Zeno's blog account. Chioma hasn't told you everything yet. Ask her what she promised Richard the night of the bet. My stomach dropped. Because I knew exactly what that message meant. The night of the bet, I had promised Richard something to shut him up. Something I thought I'd buried forever. And now, it was about to come out. Ifosa's eyes narrowed. What did you promise him, Chioma? I opened my mouth, but no words came. My heart pounded, my throat dry. Because if I told him the truth, I might lose him forever. But if I stayed silent, Zeno would tell him for me. Either way, my secret was about to destroy everything. The gym had never been that quiet. Ifosa stood in front of me, his scholarship saved, the entire school watching, waiting for what he would say. I had confessed everything. The bet. The promise to Richard. The shame of letting myself be pushed into a game that should never have involved him. And now there was nothing left to hide. Ifosa, I whispered, my voice shaking, I can't undo what I did. But I can promise you this, it stopped being a bet the moment I looked at you and realized I wanted more than games. I wanted you. The real you. And I fell in love for the first time in my life. Tears blurred my vision. If you walk away from me now, I'll understand. But please, don't let what Richard and Titi did define us. Don't let them win. The crowd murmured. Some sympathetic, some skeptical. But Ifosa's face was unreadable. Finally, he took a deep breath. Chioma, his voice was steady, calm, but heavy. I won't lie. You hurt me more than anyone ever has. I believed in you. And finding out it was a game broke something inside me. I lowered my head, bracing for rejection. But, he continued, and the word made my heart leap, you fought for me when everyone else turned against me. You stood in front of the board. You exposed your own friends. You didn't have to, but you did. And that means something. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the bracelet. The one he had dropped on the gym floor weeks ago. He held it out to me, his eyes softer now. This doesn't mean everything is fixed, he said. It doesn't erase the pain. But it means I'm willing to try. To see if we can rebuild what they tried to destroy. The gym erupted in cheers. Some clapped, some gasped, some shouted, Team Ifosa, like it was the championship game. But all I heard was my heartbeat and his voice. My hands trembled as I took the bracelet, slipping it back onto my wrist. Tears ran freely now, but for the first time in weeks, they weren't from shame. They were from relief. From hope. I looked at him and whispered, thank you. He gave me the faintest smile. Don't thank me yet. Prove me right. That day, Crestwood changed. Richard and Titi were suspended indefinitely, their reign over the school shattered. Zeno's blog turned its spotlight away from me and onto them, feeding the gossip machine that once destroyed me. As for me and Efosa, we weren't perfect. We weren't even steady yet. But we had a chance. A fragile, precious chance to start over. And this time, there were no games. No dares. No bets. Just us. So yes, my name is Chioma. I was part of the betrayal bet. I started it with pride, arrogance, and fear. But I ended it with honesty, pain, and the first real taste of love. And if there's one thing I learned, it's this. True love can survive betrayal, but only if you're brave enough to face the truth. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, don't leave just yet. Please hit that like button to show your support, drop a comment below to tell me what shocked you the most about Chioma and Efosa's journey, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another story filled with betrayal, love, and redemption. Your engagement helps us bring more powerful stories to life.